And our guest this morning is Allison Fields, veterinarian. We're going to take your phone calls if you'd like to join us, 737-7587. Some people on Facebook had messaged me knowing you were coming on, and the question was, at this point, and we talk every time you come on, I'll ask you this time of year or in the spring, is there anything new, and you say the most recent thing, and it's not new, was the pill for flea and tick control. And you've advocated that, you still have those drops you can put on the neck, but that there are, pills that animals can take that you think work terrific. Is that still what's out there now?
Yes, it is. They have a much quicker kill time, which is great. When you're concerned about tick-transmitted diseases, Lyme disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Ehrlichia, anaplasma, all of these things, ticks have to have a full blood meal and engorge. And when they get real full, they start, this can be real gross, y'all. It's early. They start vomiting or regurgitating because they're so full. And that's when they start transmitting the disease.
Because it's going back into you there, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And they also will regurgitate a little bit sometimes some blood thinners, but I think that's more mosquitoes. But anyway, if you can kill these little boogers before they finish their blood meal, which is usually 4 to 8 hours it takes, then your chances of having a disease transmitted is much less.
Is that, by the way, I'm just curious, is that the same way it's transmitted to humans? If someone gets a Rocky Mountain? Same way if you get Lyme disease, you get bit.
You don't just get bit. It has to be there for a while. So that's why they say if you're out hiking, you're out in the woods, you do tick checks every 6 hours. Because
I don't know about you, and I know you're out in the wilderness a lot. You guys have a cabin and everything. Yeah. I've been lit up by ticks before.
Yeah, I hate ticks.
I've had them. I've had them all over my body at times. Not just the seed ticks, but the bigger ones, but I'm almost positive every time I catch them within the first hour. As soon as I come in, I'm checking, there it is, or you can kind of feel them or something, and I get them. I don't think I've ever had one that I've I slept with it was on overnight. Yeah. Which is where that can be a trouble thing, right? Yeah. Doesn't necessarily.
Well, and now they sell the clothing that has insect repellent in it, which is great. It's like a sun shirt that has repellent. But yeah, so back to the original topic. The oral flea and tick meds have the quickest kill time out there, which is why I like it so much, because we're really cutting down on the possibility of disease transmission.
All right, and again, you would want to use that as opposed to, you were just talking about sprays that humans can use. Don't spray your animal with off.
No.
Okay, and in the old days, remember the flea and tick collars?
So there's a collar. Seresto is the one that most veterinarians, if you're going to use a collar, that's what they recommend. The trick with the Seresto collar is it does have to be kind of snug, but you don't want it too snug. Because increased pressure on the carotid arteries can cause glaucoma. So there's a very fine line of too loose, too tight with that. So as long as you're getting that okay, you're going to get good coverage with it. And it lasts for, I think, 7 or 8 months. Okay. And they're not cheap. I mean, they're like about $80 or $60, depending on what size you're getting.
Right. And a good flea and tick control is going to cost you a little bit, but they work. And so again, this time of year, some people decide to stop using the tick control during the winter months because there aren't ticks out there. What do you suggest people do when you know they're coming in, especially with maybe not so much ticks? Is fleas the issue? I mean, don't give up.
Fleas are typically more of the issue in the winter time because we have some fleas. We're using flea control. It turns October. It gets nice and cool, and everybody's like, oh, it's not flea season. And they quit. And then they go outside in November, and they pick up a couple fleas, and life's not that bad. And then they come in, and it gets colder, and we think everything's good. And then come January, those few fleas that we brought in November that laid eggs, because that's all they do. They eat and they lay eggs. They're all on your carpet. And in January, early February, we're cranking up the heat because it's finally gotten really cold out. And the fleas think it's springtime in the wild when the heat goes up. And they hatch in response to elevated temperature. So if they were outside in the woods, you know, once the temperature is a certain degree, and I cannot remember what it is, it's something like I think in the 60s, but I could be wrong. But an elevated temperature for a certain number of days and pressure. So when deer or whatever walking across and it's been warm and they get pressure on them, they hatch, they turn into larvae. So what happens in your living room in February when your kids are running around? Pressure, you've got the heat cranked up, temperature, now you have a flea outbreak. So I see the majority, I would say over the past 10 to 15 years, the majority of the flea infestations that I have seen on pets, I see in January, February.
Because of the very thing you just said.
Yeah.
That's how it. And then, of course, they're hungry when they come out, and they're going to get on pets, and they're going to bite your ankles.
Yeah.
You're going to get flea bites.
Yeah.
It just sucks.
And
then
it's
sometimes
so hard to
get
break
rid of them.
Yeah.
I mean, you get
so
those
hard.
bombs that maybe you want to, you know.
Yeah, but it's just hard. There's a lot of work and a lot of money. Just keep them on flea control.
Yeah, just keep them on the flea
Save the
control to
problem.
avoid that. That's the ticket, though. So you're saying just stay on it.
Yeah, my dog does. She stays on it year round. A, because I would be the one to forget, like when it's time to start up again.
Yeah.
But again, if you're gonna stop flea and tick control, you need to wait till after the first hard frost.
Right.
And give like 1 month after that, and then you're good until springtime. But most people don't pay attention to when the first hard frost was.
Have we even had one
days
yet?
after.
Have we had a hard frost?
No.
I guess we haven't. Okay.
No.
So not yet. All right, what else do people need to think about this time of year, just moving forward?
What else do we talk about when it starts getting cold out for outside pets?
Well, water.
Right?
Freezing
What
over,
about,
right?
Well, they don't know that.
And the bedding. Well, yeah,
Right.
the water. Here's the thing, though. You know, this is news you can use that if you don't know, you're just not smart. How do you not think that water bowl outside when it freezes is going to have frozen ice in there and the dog can't drink?
I think people know that. I think that they just forget that they have to go check it multiple times a day if it's that cold out. I mean, if it's that cold out, more than likely your pet should be inside.
Right.
But they sell heated water bowls. You know, they sell heated water troughs for horses and cows. Yep. And then make sure if they are outdoor pets that they have good shelter and that we're bringing them in if it's super cold. Tinsel. Cats coming up on the holiday season. Cats
Tinsel's delicious.
Yeah, it also kills cats. Cats love, for whatever reason, they're real good at eating what we call linear foreign bodies. So yarn, tinsel, dental floss.
Cats are good at eating linear foreign bodies?
Yes, linear.
Like spaghetti.
Well, yeah, but that's edible.
Okay.
That wouldn't be considered a foreign body. Like something that is foreign to be eating. But it gets, what'll happen a lot of times is it'll get caught around their tongue, because, you know, they have those little spikies on their tongue, and they'll eat something on a piece of thread or a piece of yarn or something, and part of it will get stuck on their tongue, and the rest of it starts getting digested, and it's their intestines are trying to move it along, and it can't go anywhere because it's stuck up here.
Oh, man.
Or else it'll get stuck in the stomach, and the intestines are still, so the intestines get all wadded up. It's called accordion pleating.
Ooh.
And it's life-threatening because they will get so tight just by the body trying to move it that it'll start cutting through the intestines, which, as you can imagine, is not great for life.
How do you correct that?
Surgery. It's all surgery.
That's it. So that's an expensive thing. So
It is.
avoid that, not only because it can kill your cat, but it'll cost you a pretty penny.
Yeah.
So you're saying just, hey, if you have a cat, watch the tinsel.
Watch anything that's like, you know, people who do lots of crafting and they, you know, I knit, and I have a cat who's very bad, and I had to get a zippered knitting bag because he kept getting in and getting my yarn, and then he figured out how to open the zipper, and so now I have a little combination lock holding my zippers together like a travel lock. Okay. Because that little brat can get in there, and I don't like him enough to do that surgery.
Have you ever had an animal come in that chewed on the power cord?
Yes.
And then got jolted?
Yeah.
They actually got you. So what happened? Did it stop their heart, or what happened to the cat when it bit through it?
They don't They usually scream at some point, and the owners bring them in because they realize what happened.
Okay, just
and
to
usually
check them
they're
out.
okay, but what can happen is they can develop, and I feel like this would happen in people as well, but they can develop pulmonary edema, which is fluid in the lungs, after an electrocution or a jolt or whatever. But they also get burns in their mouth. That's how when we'll look and I'll be like, oh, yeah, burns. We probably bit a cord.
And that's a clear sign that he was chewing or she was chewing on a cord. All right, we'll take a break on that note. Crazy. All right, we'll be back with more with Allison Fields as we talk about cats chewing on power cords.
Yeah.
Not a good thing. Right after this. Stay with us.